Hi, everybody. John Charles with you. Welcome back to the Cheap Lounge. We are up to season 10, season 4. Will be a season 10. Season 4, episode 10. It's been a hot minute since I've done an episode of Cheap Lounge because there's just so much music coming out and I'm just doing these quickies and stuff. So we have few records to talk about. So I'm going to talk about some of these records, and then some of them we're not going to talk about. We're just going to do needle drops on all of them, though. Uh, the last part of the video will be all of the needle drops. So what we do here is just discuss. I show and discuss some of the records that I have uploaded onto my hobby easy listening radio station, Moody Mood Music, on live365.com. That's linked below. If you like old elevator, beautiful music, easy listening music, middle of the road music. What other names are there? Muzak, so to speak. That's what I play, and that's what we discuss on this program, Cheap Lounge. All these records, mostly from thrift stores and bargain bins, and easy listening lounge adjacent types of music. And today we're going to talk about a couple of oldies, real oldies. I mean, these artists are old, even for Moody Mood music. They old, okay? They from way back. Uh, First one up, we're going to talk about two really oldies here. Uh, Miss Sophie Tucker. We're going to discuss a little bit. This record here I received as a gift. Um, I do have some Sophie Tucker already in the collection, and she is up on Moody Mood Music. And we this week added this one into our lovely collection of music on the playlist there at the radio station. Now, who is Sophie Tucker? If you're not familiar with her, if you know who she is, you know what she does. If you don't, you don't. She was called the last of the Red Hot Mamas. She is from really the early half of the 20th century. So we're talking like the early 1900s through 1950s, as far as like really active recording or performing or whatever, and really even stopped a little earlier than that. Um, she was originally born in Russia. I didn't know that. Originally born in Russia, and as a small child, her family came to the United States, Connecticut to be exact, and Massachusetts and Connecticut, and yeah, Russia. Well, now it's the Ukraine where she came from, but is it? I don't know what it's going to end up, Russia or Ukraine again. I don't know. Anyway, she's from that part of the world originally. Um, her family ran a restaurant. She used to sing there sometimes just to do it and would get a good response from people. So she had an earlier interest in being involved in music. She married very young, married somebody, last name was Tuck, which is where the Tucker comes from, um, in her name, but had a child at like 17. But she left. She wanted to pursue show business. So she left the child, and always took care of him and sent him money, and they had a close relationship and whatever. But she didn't feel like she could take him with her at that time to New York. Uh, so he was raised by a sister, I think, grandparents and sister or something. Anyway, it was fine. Like it wasn't like they had some falling out or something. Um, she had trouble getting work at first. Eventually, she performed. Her persona is very well, as you know from the name Red Hot Mamas, kind of buxom and very sensual and doing sort of naughty numbers. For the time. I don't know today. Do we really? It's not naughty. Was then, and got kind of mixed reviews. She was signed with Ziegfeld Follies. She would performed in the early 1900s with the Ziegfeld Follies, but they had to let her go because none of the other female performers would appear on the stage with her. Can you imagine? I mean, the Ziegfeld Volleys, they wouldn't appear with her. Uh, so she had to go out on her own again. But she did eventually catch on her own. Some of These Days became a hit song for her. She recorded it twice. First time it didn't really do anything, but after she left Ziegfeld and kind of went on her own, that song picked up. And she had many others, and she ended up having a very long career in music, also doing into the TV era, doing TV appearances on like Ed Sullivan and the Tonight Show, that sort of thing. So she was very, widely known, um, and has a fair arsenal of recordings of her songs. Now, this album, as it says, her latest and greatest spicy tunes, is originally from 1955 on Mercury, and it was reissued about 10 years later also. And it has great songs. A lot of the songs you won't be familiar with, a lot of her music. They were kind of one-offs, kind of like Mae West, in a lot of innuendo, that kind of thing. Vitamins, Hormones, and Pills is the song. Inhibition, Papa. Um, I'm Living Alone and I Like It. I love that song, personally. Story of my life. Sophie Tucker, School for Red Hot Mamas. So yeah, we enjoyed this a lot. Love her persona. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe there are a few people that are listening to Moody Mood music and they hear a Sophie Tucker song come on and they clutch their pearls. What are they playing? I don't know. Maybe they do, but we play. We do play.
Well, hello there. I'm on a record album called Confetti, and that's exactly what you'll find on Moody Mood Music Radio. It's an exciting rainbow shower of many colors, many moods. You'll hear songs that are joyous and exciting, romantic moods, melancholic moods, every mood you can imagine. A colorful confetti rainbow of moods on Moody Mood Music, presented by all the great orchestras and vocalists of the past. Quality music for a quality celebration. Join us on Moody Mood Music for a confetti rain of moods.
Sophie Tucker. She passed away in 1980 at the age of 79. Miss Sophie Tucker. The other one we're going to talk about, also quite from the previous era. Another one, the early part of the 20th century, a gentleman singer, we really know him as Rudy Vallee, I'm talking about. Now, this is a rather newer looking album, right? This doesn't look like a really old, I mean, as far as easy listening goes, old record. It is from 1966, which is, way past when Rudy Vallee really would have been doing that much. We really know him from the early 1900s through the, 30s, kind of into the 40s. That's kind of his era. Um, Another one who started out very young, had an interest in music, always had an interest in music. He was a singer, a band leader, primarily a saxophonist as far as his own instrumental abilities. Enlisted in the, not born in 1901 in Vermont, little town in Vermont. 1917, he enlisted in the Navy, but he was underage. He lied about his birthday. He was only 15, and they discovered that after he had already been enlisted and been in for a couple months, for like 2 months, and they kicked him out. Yeah, discharged him, I should say, because he was underage. He did end up going to college, went to Yale, but during all this time, he did perform. Before he went to Yale, he tried his luck in England, He recorded some records on vanity records on his own, paid for them. 4 songs I think he did on Columbia Records, and took that to England and tried to get work as an audition, record, and tried to get vocalist work with some bands. Did a little bit of work, but not that much. Came back to the States, did college, and started working with some bands after that. He did have some recordings earlier on, but those record labels let him go. They weren't happy with the songs that he was choosing to record. And he worked briefly with an outfit called Hit of the Week, which, those kind of, they used to do like imitations of pop songs on little albums and then release them for really cheap, and they were kind of sound alike. They sounded like the original song. He worked with them, so there are recordings by Rudy Vallee sounding like other people on Hit of the Week. Brief stint. Then he started becoming much more successful, and did many recordings. And he was known, he's what they call one of the first crooners, because he, during the, you have to understand, like during the 20s, early 1900s, if you were going to be performing live and in person, you were going to go around the country and doing tours, and you were singing in concert halls and whatever. This was before there were microphones, right? So you you had to have a voice like Ethel Merman, kind of like Sophie Tucker, like a voice that just could belt out. I mean, you couldn't be some soft spoken, soft singer. You had to like belt out these tunes. Uh, and Rudy Vallee was not such a person. I mean, he just wasn't. He was what we call a crooner, like a more soft singer. So what he did, uh, he always sang with a megaphone. So he'd hold the megaphone and sing into it. It has a different sound. It kind of gives you a, not tinny, but I don't know what it is. But anyway, it does enable your voice to project much further than it would if you were just singing without any amplification. So that became a signature for him, a signature sound. And you often hear things that are supposedly from the 20s or whatever, where they're imitating that sound of somebody singing or talking through a megaphone, because it was something that was done to project the voice before there were electrified microphones and whatnot. And it was cheap, to use a megaphone. Anyway, that's him back in the day of his popularity. And this is him when this album was recorded in 1966. So, oh yeah, I should say, I wanted to mention, he also hosted a lot of radio shows, radio music shows as a band leader, Vallee's Varieties, several other ones. The Royal Gelatin Hour. I personally would love to hear a radio program called the Royal Gelatin Hour. I love that. Anyway, this one, I don't know the story behind this record. I don't know why it was really recorded, what the idea was. I mean, this is somebody from long ago in 1966. I mean, he aged very well. Um, by the way, the rumors, or the people, a lot of people worked with him, said he was really bad tempered and he swore like a sailor a lot. That's not necessarily a bad thing, I don't think. Well, the temper, but swearing like a sailor. I've read they say actually that people who swear more are more trustworthy. You can actually, I don't know what exactly that's based on, but anyway, uh, this album is on Viva Records from 1966. It is a Snuff Garrett and Ed Silver's production. Now, what's interesting about this record is I don't imagine in 1966 they actually used a megaphone, but it sounds like he's using a megaphone. They give it a filter or whatever that gives the sound that he's singing through a megaphone through the entire album. And it's odd, right? You're like, why would you do that in 1966? Because the instrumentation is all electrified and sounds, it doesn't sound contemporary. They did it in like a sort of a 30s, 20s, 30s, 40s style kind of arrangements are going on, but the sound is 1960s stereo quality, except for him singing through a megaphone. It's called "Hi Ho Everybody," which was actually a song he sang, although spelled differently, Heigh. And he used to say that a lot. It was sort of a trademark of his to go, "Hi ho everybody, Rudy Vallee," blah blah blah. So the album is called "Hi Ho Everybody," which does not have the song "Hi Ho Everybody" on it. Probably they couldn't get it for some reason. And it does have some old songs from the 20s, and "My Blue Heaven" and um, "Lady Godiva," I think is quite an old one. "Sweetheart of Sigma Chi." But then there are new ones that they did: "Strangers in the Night," "Winchester Cathedral." One of those songs I think is newer. Anyway, but they did them in the old style, so the newer songs sound like they're from the 30s with really good stereo recording and Rudy Vallee singing through a megaphone. I guess my question is, as somebody who I haven't heard a lot of Rudy Vallee. I mean, I know the sound, but I would have kind of. I get it. It's gimmicky. I mean, Snuff Garrett certainly wasn't immune from doing gimmicky stuff. Let's all remember the 25 pianos of Tommy Garrett, uh, and the 50 guitars of Tommy Garrett, which were quite good. But yeah, Snuff Garrett not above doing a gimmicky thing, but I don't know. I would have kind of been curious maybe if they could have done like half the songs with the megaphone sound and maybe half without, just to kind of hear what his voice would have really, sounded like with amplification, electronic mics. Anyway, that's it. It's 1966. We uploaded quite a few selections. It's interesting. It's interesting, right? I don't know. I like it. And then just a couple of very brief mentions about a couple of the other records here. We'll just go quickly. Um, the Best of Richard Hayman, in case you're coming across this. This is not a best of, even though it is. It's all songs he's recorded. These are re-recordings of songs he did. The harmonica being not profound on a lot of them, but it's there. Kind of interesting, but a nice album. A budget label from Winecoat, Roman Holiday. I'm just mentioning this because we love this picture. We love this font so much. What is it? I want to find it. Um, and it's by Carlo Monti and the Casa, Roma Orchestra. We all know that's a fake name. Who knows who it is? I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it's 110 musicians, which was an orchestra in England that Winecoat used. I don't really know who it is, but it's a nice enough record. I remember the violins of Villa Fontana. I mentioned this one because this obviously is very easy listening. But this record here from 1963, wow, very, very lovely and classy and elegant, lush arrangement. Kind of reminds me of Manuel and his music of the mountain, or Mantovani on a very lush day. I think, if my memory serves me correctly, when the Miss Universe pageant was in Mexico in 1978, they featured music from the Villa Fontana because this is a Mexican group that serenades in Mexico City. Very nice. Uh, Also, just a fun note: Banjo Spectacular sing along with the string along, rather, with the Banjo Barons. Although I suspect a number of people would have sung along. These are all sort of popular banjo oriented kind of things. But what's funny about this is I was texting with a friend of mine in California while I was digitizing this record and reading the notes, and something really caught my eye. It says here, a cup of coffee and sandwich and virtuoso banjo pickers playing 37 old time favorites spell relaxation, fun, and nostalgia. That the number of happy banjo humalongers is steadily increasing is due in great part to the recent spread throughout the country of colorful bistros known as banjo bars. I'm like, banjo bars? The proliferation of banjo bars? I've never heard of the banjo bar. Fern bars, I know. Tiki bars, I know. Banjo bars? I don't know. And I mentioned this to my friend, and we both started searching and came up with some stuff. And apparently, there were some banjo bars. San Francisco, in particular. 1962, this record is from. I guess it was the thing, but I mean, I've never heard of it. I've never heard of it really spreading nationwide. If you guys know, tell me. Let me know. Did you ever have a banjo bar in your town? I never heard of such thing. I never heard of it. Never heard of it. Uh, Finally, this is not really easy listening, but it's worth mentioning. I just picked this up recently for myself. Hot Rod Rally. It's Palace Records, which is like one of the absolute bottom barrel of the budget records. Just cheap, 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 very brittle. It's amazing any of them survived into 2025. If they were played once, it feels like they could have been broken by somebody just looking at it wrong. Anyway, has all these, drag terms on the back here, drag racing, sunset Dragsters and Orchestras from 1964. When I was playing it, I'm like, this music, I know this music. It's got Hot Rod Rally sounds on it, right? Like it's got their crowd cheering, the racing, the revving, there's some crashing. Every song has like different race car sounds on it. The music is not, to me, race car music, although I don't really know exactly what that would be. It's instrumental, saxophone based, piano, kind of like something you would hear like in a cheap honky tonk where people are drinking their beers and cocktails and leering at each other, and there's a lot of smoke, probably a little dance floor, and maybe a couple or two kind of doing a little dance once in a while. That's what it reminds me of. I kind of enjoy it. It's kind of cute, but I'm like, I know this music. This music, I have this music on a different record without all these drag noises, and I do. And it's this one from a year earlier. So this was apparently earlier, 1963, Surfing with the Sunsets. Amazingly similar name to the Sunset Dragsters. And it's basically the same. It is the same music, except this one doesn't have the drag car sound effects over it. I don't know why they didn't put some, ocean waves or some surfing sounds or something, since it's supposed to be surfing, but it's the same cheap and tawdry combo with the saxophone and piano belting out some tunes. I think, did this one say, as I recall, where these guys were from? I mean, I heard somewhere somebody saying, it must have been on one of the Facebook pages, that they were able to trace this actual recording back to some group from Connecticut, which was kind of funny. The surfing capital of the country is Connecticut, but it's also the hot rod capital. I just thought I'd point that out. This one also to Palace, the same company, bottom of the barrel, brittle stuff. But I wonder how many times this, I'm sure these recordings, you'll hear them when I do the needle drops. You tell me, because I'm sure these recordings have been released many times under different names. Even, Palace, just probably by other companies too, but at least by Palace, probably released under other names. Anyway, that's it. We're going to do some needle drops. I hope you enjoyed that. And we're going to check out some music from all these and then other ones that we didn't talk about.
So little love. I myself will do the teaching, and on graduation day, there'll be 50 million husbands shouting, rah, 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 hooray! For the Sophie Tucker Scoop, for Red Hot Mamas, the National Institution of Love. And you're never too old for a little love. Not as much as in your younger days, oh, there's no denying. Even if you do not make the grade, there's plenty of fun trying. There's many an auto that doesn't run when all it needs is one little shot. You're looking at a model for which...
A turn to the right, a little white light will lead you to my blue heaven. You'll see a smiling face, a fireplace, a cozy room. Michel, ma belle, sont les mots qui vont très bien ensemble, très bien ensemble. I need need you, I need you.
was fascination. I know, seeing you alone with the moonlight above. Then I touched you. You made me love you. I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to do it. You made me want you.
If a picture paints 1,000 words, then why can't I paint you? The words will never show. How long does it last? Can love be measured by the hours in a day? I have no answers now, but this much I can say. I know I'll need her till the stars.
Okay, that's it for this episode 10, season 4 of The Cheap Lounge. I'm your host, John Charles, aka Kai Waza. Don't forget to check out Moody Mood Music below, linked below there in the description box. Let me know if you have any of these recordings or experiences with them or thoughts about them, or, wondering why does anybody collect this stuff? Why? Anyway, if you enjoy it, check out Moody Mood Music, and we will talk to you in the next video. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe, share it if you're into this kind of stuff, and we'll see you soon, because I think, what have I got next? Probably, I have to do my candle burning schedule. Oh my gosh, I need to do that. I'll do that today or tomorrow. Okay, bye-bye.